Welcome to the Comics Experiment, the show right here at twitch.tv/Comicstorian that we film every Thursday at about 2 p.m. Eastern. It's then uploaded to our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, where you get the unedited version to enjoy at your leisure. It's then put over on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and various other platforms that I completely forget we exist on. Hello, audio listeners. We know you're out there. This is the show where I sit down with Dan, the producer, and Andy, my brother. He doesn't have any other job, just my brother. And we talk about fun stuff in the comic book world, theories floating around, what people are talking about in general. And today's topic is, could Marvel buy DC? But don't forget, today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor,
AMC Shudder, an online streaming service for horror shows. If you try Shudder for free for 30 days, at Shudder.com and use the promo code EXPERIMENT.
Yes, and we'll say a little bit more about that in the middle of today's episode, but I do want to make one quick comment on that. I was checking it out, and they have one really cool feature that I really did enjoy. You can have like a live TV channel, and they'll just play all the horror movies for you. So if you're just like me and Natalie, where we just sit around, don't know what we're watching, you just go, boop, awesome, a bad horror movie. They're all bad. I mean, that's horror in general. We love it. Anyway.
Usually when I associate words with horror stuff, boop is my go-to.
Boop. Boop. For Deadpool.
That's fair.
Yes.
That's fair.
All right, guys. So, how was your week?
Good. Can we point out how my job as the brother is much worse than your job?
Yeah, I feel pretty bad for you.
Okay,
especially because you didn't get paid for the first 30 years of it.
Yeah, that was weird. I had to go back and get like.
He's actually not my real brother. I ordered him
pay.
from a Russian mail order brother website.
Da. It's Russian for yes.
Da, comrade.
Oh, thank you. I was completely confused as to what you were saying.
I assumed you were.
Yeah. Give us your best Russian accent, Andy.
Yes, please do.
Yes, please do.
Okay. It's going to be pretty cartoonish, but let's see. It would be something sort of like this. I just say vodka.
That's actually really good.
Talk about the Soviet Union.
I feel like you're FPS Russia.
Kind of, yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
That's actually
Soviet
really good.
Russia accent do you?
See, this is why Andy's a good DM, because he's got great
But they
voices
all have
for all the
cartoonish
different-
voices.
Yeah, are we going to end up in Russia next in our campaign?
Da. Or a Russian adjacent fantasy world.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Dusha.
I would have gone with Fusha as a fantasy Russia.
Nah, Dusha works.
Sure. Why not? Dark Russia.
Dark Russia. That's what it is.
Dusha. Why not?
All right, so here's the situation right now. Let me get you up as to why this is even being talked about. Could Marvel buy DC? And yes, Variant Comics did this topic in his own video, and I thought it'd be a fun one to have as a discussion on our podcast. So before people are like, Benny, Aris did that. I know. I didn't watch the video. I just saw the title. I was like, that's a genius way to take this whole thing. It is. It's a genius way. Huh?
And we're stealing.
And we're doing something completely weird where we're doing something someone else has already done. No one does that. Everyone's original. So we're sorry that we're doing that.
Is original.
Should we tell them about our discussion show on EM?
No.
All right, so...
No.
All right, so what if you've somehow missed the comic book news? Dan DiDio, publisher of DC, has been unceremoniously fired or let go. No one quite knows what exactly happened. No one has made an official statement on it. Various clickbait articles and various individuals that are honestly mostly morons are arguing that DC is going to be shut down if 5G fails. While I'm not going to say that it's an impossibility, from a business perspective, it makes no sense. So we're going to go over that real fast, 2 seconds, because we've already discussed a lot of this on Absolute Comics with Sal. So I don't want to waste a lot of time rehashing some topic. But long story short, DC is a profitable business, not a huge number. I saw and I don't know how true this is, but I saw some reported numbers as being $10 million earned by DC on a yearly basis. While that sounds like an amazing number to you guys, that is very small pennies to companies like AT&T and Warner Brothers.
Yep.
That's why DC doesn't get a lot of push and get promoted too often. But the merchandising sales of characters like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Red Hood is in the $5 billion market or higher from what I saw in these numbers. If AT&T were to say, DC, if 5G fails, we're getting rid of you, we're shutting you down, they wouldn't shut them down because regardless of it being only $10 million, it is profitable. What they would do if 5G were to fail and more probable stuff of a smart company, one, they would sell off DC to somebody else. Hence where the concept of what if Marvel were to buy DC comes from. Because that is a real possibility. If AT&T has no honest-to-God stake in DC Comics, their options would be sell DC. So DC's not going to shut down, but it may be under new management. And honestly, AT&T, if they were smart, would do something along the lines of like, Dan of Dan Comics, you can run the comic arm of DC. We're selling it to you for something money, but we're keeping movie rights. Yeah, but we're keeping movie rights. That's probably what AT&T would most likely do. Or, secondary option, they would probably clean house. Fire everyone of a executive status in DC and basically put a bunch of corporate individuals in there, and DC would start to reflect what Marvel looks like nowadays. Not stating that Marvel is in a bad state. I like a lot of what Marvel puts out. But if you look at Marvel, it's very friendly, very much aimed at various demographics. It's very much corporately decided as to what's happening. Then the editors and everyone get in charge of it. Right now, DC's that's not even a proper sentence, is a very creative house with Black Label and the Elseworlds and all these other things. If AT&T were to deem 5G a failure and they decide that they need to clean house, DC would be very much by the books. Here's your Batman book, here's your Superman book, here's our yearly crossover. It would become corporate. That's basically what they would do. Those are the two realistic possibilities, in my opinion. AT&T would literally be shooting themselves in the foot if they were to shut down DC in the terms that everyone considers shutting down, as in firing everyone and producing no more comics. Because the merchandising is where comic books make money, and if you're not producing more storylines, you're not making more merchandise. So great example of that, just to give you guys an example, right now, Flash is fighting a brand new villain that DC is pushing out there, Paradox. He's the brand new big bad. He's being promoted everywhere. You know why that is? They're hoping he's going to catch on and they can make toys, shirts, and he becomes like the new Reverse Flash. Look at what Marvel did recently. Do you think female Thor was made for any other reason other than to make merchandise? We have a statue of her. She has Funko Pops. She has her own comic line as Valkyrie now. She has t-shirts. That's what comics are made for. They're literally made to make merchandising. So if DC were to be completely shut down, you kill the house of ideas, basically, that is DC, and the only thing we'd have left would be movies, which would still make money, but you wouldn't get new ideas to produce these with. And since DC is profitable, why would you shut down that project? That makes no sense. That's my stance on that whole thing. Because people have been asking up and down, do you think they would be shut down? Do not think that at all. But that does lead credence to the idea that DC could be bought, which is a real possibility. I mean, do you agree with that? That they could, like, AT&T's I'm done with them.
If they were like, okay, we're going to sell them off,
that's totally a possibility. Still slim, because I feel like AT&T would be also shooting themselves in the foot if they were like...
Unless it was like a stupid amount of money.
Yeah, right. Stupid amount of money, I can see that. But if they were like, Dan, you handle all the comics, Andy, you're going to handle all the movies... And you guys don't like each other, right? So we get another Ike Perlmutter thing and Kevin Feige situation.
Oh, yeah. I was like, who? What?
That's basically what happened there.
I was thinking of
Which
DC.
one am I?
Yeah.
Which of the two am I? Am I Kevin Feige?
No, you'd be Perlmutter in this scenario.
I'm the movie
I know, but
guy.
I want to be Feige.
No, too late. I'm Feige. He already said it. Dibs. He said I was the movie guy.
Too bad I did.
He's the movie guy.
Doesn't matter.
You can be Kathleen Kennedy.
But anyway... That's what AT&T I could see creating. They would sell it off to a different company, retain movie rights, and we would have a Perlmutter versus Feige situation. It wouldn't end well. I'm not saying any route other than continuing DC as is would end well. But, I mean, Andy and I were agreeing earlier, some of the best books we're reading right now that aren't independent are the Black Label books. Because they're all weird, Elseworld, creative freedom. They're awesome. But, okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Do you guys have anything to say on the idea that is being tossed around by the clickbaits and the morons that it's going to be shut down?
It'll never be shut down.
In the traditional sense of shut down.
It would never be shut down because, one, they would sell it at the very bare minimum.
Yeah.
And two, AT&T would then be known as the
idiots
company that killed Superman and Batman. And regardless of being a person that actually buys the comics or goes sees the movie, it has been very well established that the symbol of Superman or Batman is more recognizable across the entire globe.
Superman is literally like the very first superhero.
Yeah. It's the world's biggest and worst publicity stunt if they were to shut it down. If anything, it would go in the way that Vertigo did, where DC bought them and kind of steered away from the fact that they were Vertigo and just kind of adopted the ones that they liked.
A great example of this particular thing happening in the past Andy, you've done a little bit of research recently. Do you know the story of Fawcett Comics off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay.
I know that at one point it did close down, and then a lot of the characters were sold off.
Right.
Which is how Shazam ended up in DC Comics.
Yes. So, worst case scenario, and in the history of comic companies shutting down, there was a company known as Fawcett Comics. Fawcett Comics owned Shazam.
Captain Marvel at the time, I believe.
Captain Marvel at the time, because Shazam was not official until 2009, I think, 2010.
That wasn't his official name until about 2010.
Yeah.
I think 2010.
So in
2011.
previous situations, comic book companies being mismanaged, Fawcett was actually in the negatives on their revenue.
Yeah.
And so what they did was they sold off Fawcett Comics. DC bought Fawcett Comics and all of its characters. They only use Shazam. But
That is true, actually, yeah.
But they can use the
I think
others.
some of them might have popped up every now and then, but
Yeah, they come-
weren't like Shazam was like the big one.
yeah, well, Shazam was, I think,
Well,
it was
yeah.
the most popular of their characters too.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is, if AT&T were to completely shut down DC and just say like no one can buy it, we're just shutting them down, that would go down in history as one of the worst business decisions ever, to shut down a profitable company that you own.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing something with it, as in selling it or replacing the management. So,
I think replacing the management would probably.
if you're wondering where
would
these
probably
rumors,
be what would happen.
if you're wondering where these rumors started up from, Dan DiDio has left DC, which has then led to the clickbait. And I'm talking all clickbait. I'm not even talking about the individuals who make videos that are just doing nothing but filling the world with hate. I'm talking about all clickbait. All clickbait articles are, is this the end of DC? Now, funniest thing about that, 2 days before that, we released Milk Wars. Is it the end of DC? Completely unrelated to the event.
Yeah. Because I'm not sure. Have you read Milk Wars?
No.
It's the
It's
end of
literally
DC.
like they're retconning DC because sales are down.
Sales are
Oh,
down.
really?
So
Yeah.
what it is? So what it turns out.
Very meta.
Yeah, it is. Milk Wars is the overall storyline is the sales are down, and so they've decided to go very corporate.
Okay.
And so to make the superheroes more corporate, because DC is such a brooding and dark world,
Sure,
they have
yeah.
tainted the milk, and when you drink it, you become very 1950s.
Yep.
Interesting.
And we have
To make it
Milkman
family friendly.
Man.
Milkman Man.
Milkman Man. I am
like
not
it.
kidding.
Yep.
It is Milkman Man.
I like it.
So what I'm saying
And
is,
Wonder Wife.
DC literally did a storyline in which they got turned more corporate. So
I wonder if they did that on purpose.
If they like could see like the writing on the wall kind of deal.
They actually we start moving towards Superman becomes Milkman Man.
Yeah. They're like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like like the head of DC is like, I feel like I read this somewhere recently.
Silver, while I don't comment on the names of the individual channels because I don't like to bring attention to them. I will say that individual is not the only one who does that strategy. I think he's just the current most popular to do that strategy. Clickbait is the way of the world in the internet, guys. It strictly is. And I know a lot of YouTubers who start out with a great idea initially, discover that clickbait's the way to go, and that's what they go with because it makes them money. That's just the nature of it. I won't even deny it. We've done clickbait before. I mean,
I named this stream very clickbaity.
That's what I'm saying.
Is Marvel buying DC?
That's literally that's the nature of the internet. And these days, the sad part is, and this is I'm being completely transparent with all of you viewers, your listeners, everyone on Twitch, YouTube, and everything. The fact is, we make revenue on people watching this. So if we were to title, let's say this video, which is going to be titled something along the lines of, is Marvel buying DC? If I were to title it, Realistic Discussions About the Future of DC.
That's boring. Nobody wants to watch that shit.
That's what I'm saying. But if we title it,
No one likes rationality.
Yeah, rationality is stupid.
is Marvel buying DC? Rant! We will get more views,
Yeah.
more watch time, more clicks than we would otherwise. While
Ooh, maybe that's where they'll go. They'll start clickbaiting the names of the comics.
Every issue is Superman dead.
Batman kills Robin?
What?
But what I'm getting at is, while I do purposely try to avoid aiming our comic book titles, I like when we do the complete stories, I try not to give those clickbait because, in my opinion, putting clickbait in those titles basically time gates them because no one's going to be looking for that in 3 months. I try to do as close to the main story as I can.
Right.
When it comes to podcasts, rants, we go super clickbait on some of these. We've literally, I won't even lie. This is once again being transparent. We've literally had a clickbait title and developed the rant afterwards.
This is what I want to title the video. Yeah. What should we call? What should we talk about?
So what I'm saying is I don't even blame anybody for doing that, but it is perpetuating the idea that DC is shutting down right now. And it's CBR, Bleeding Cool. I mean, I've seen it all over the place now.
Yeah.
So it's just how the internet and the world works.
I mean,
so that
news does it too.
Yeah, I mean, news
Have
does
you ever
it too.
gone to any news website and seen a title of an article that was boring? Because if you did, you probably skipped past it.
Yeah.
Because it was boring.
I mean, it's just how the news works, newspaper work. It's been years. Everyone's done it. Heck, even TV, even your favorite TV shows, they'll name an episode. You know, I think there's an episode coming out that everyone's talking about in the Flash called "The Death of the Speed Force," because we did a video title of that, and I got nothing but comments going, "Oh my God, that's coming out soon!" Like,
What you don't know is Flash got a puppy, named it Speed Force,
and a John Wick,
and then got hit by a car
but then he went back in time.
and fixed it using the Speed Force.
And somehow that created some evil villain that's
Sort of
now going to
paradox
destroy the
universe.
world.
Ah, see, Silver gave us a title that we're gonna make a video. Does X-Men suck? Find out here. Make a rant about that.
Me? Why me? You're the one who rants.
That's true.
Literally just see any video where he talks about X-Men and he will tell you how
Should we just piece those all together? Like a montage
That'd
of
actually be
It's a
pretty funny,
montage of Benny saying that Hickman's X-Men sucks. And it would probably be 3 hours long.
Just him in the office, just repeating it to himself. Hickman's X-Men sucks. X-Men sucks.
He's actually in the bathroom looking at the mirror. X-Men sucks. No.
It's too strong.
Hickman's X-Men sucks.
It's weird
No, no.
emphasis, but I like it.
Hickman X-Men sucks.
What I liked about that is with the you missed it for Absolute Comics, which is a show that we do with Sal from Comic Pop, and you can check it out on our Comicstorian podcast YouTube channel and on our Patreons, patreon.com/Comicstorian.
Nice plug.
We asked people like, who would you like us to interview, and they brought up Hickman.
Okay.
And they a lot of times they'll bring up the writers that they know we hate. No, I don't hate Hickman. Let me clarify that we dislike their current run because I love Hickman's Avengers, New Avengers, but
Yeah.
that we dislike their current run because they expect that we're going to be like, yeah, let's interview this guy and yell at him.
That's not what we do.
And my simple response was, guys, if we got Hickman, Sal would talk to him about the X-Men, and I would just sit out of the episode. I'm not going to sit there and be
Yeah.
like,
Just seething with rage.
That's like going, hey, Tom King, can you come talk to Andy about Batman?
Yeah. First question. What the fuck? I have no follow-up questions.
no follow. Wait. Why did you kill Alfred?
See previous question. What were we actually going to talk about today?
Marvel buying DC.
That's right. Because we went on the clickbait thing. I was like, what was the actual topic?
Well, I was explaining.
No, I know. I forgot, actually.
I felt like there needed to be some context
No,
as
yeah,
to why
I'm
we would suddenly be discussing the idea that Marvel would buy DC.
I like it.
And you know what is also very corporate, Dan?
Wait, hold on, what?
Oh, Andy, did you take the hint?
I thought I did, but at
Portals?
the same time, I wasn't sure.
Are portals corporate?
Open up a corporate portal.
Oh, I'm going to need to see some forms.
I need approval from the head
I'm gonna
guy.
need approval.
You know,
At
Dan,
least
go ahead and
6
take it.
signatures.
A portal opens.
That was not nearly corporate enough.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Shudder. Shudder is an AMC network premium streaming service bringing you the largest selection of horror, thrillers, and supernatural, as well as unique Shudder exclusive horror shows and movies to your favorite devices such as iPhones, Google Chromecast, and more. Shudder has been called the Netflix of horror, but it's much more than that. For only $5.99 a month or $56.99 a year, you get access to all of the content that they have, from classic movies to modern favorites. They've even got Mandy, starring Nicolas Cage, which I watched and really enjoyed. Get started streaming the best horror, thriller, and supernatural content that you can find. Shudder's expertly curated collection includes titles like the acclaimed Tigers Are Not Afraid, One Cut of the Dead, Revenge, and the acclaimed Creepshow TV series produced by Greg Nicotero. And now streaming the all-new series, The Deadlands. If you want to try Shudder for free for 30 days, go to Shudder.com and use the promo code EXPERIMENT. That's SHUDDER.com and use the promo code EXPERIMENT.
No, but when you said corporate, my first thought was, that's the discussion. So is he asking me an actual question or what the hell's going on? But you want to know what is going on? The portal closes.
No, you opened it again.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to
Portal closes.
There you go.
Shudder's great. I don't know what I just said about it in there, but it was great.
Shutter's great. I don't know what I just said.
I don't know what
but
the
if I'm
ad read
disagreeing
is.
with myself.
Don't worry, I know in about 3 hours what he's gonna say.
I don't know the ad read right now, but Natalie and I have legitimately been using Shutter app.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The
okay.
Netflix of horror.
So, going into one of our hypothetical discussions, let's go ahead and say Dan DiDio left. Jim Lee got fired. They canned the entirety of DC, and AT&T has decided that it is more profitable to sell off the properties of DC Comics.
And Mickey sitting in his office and just went, good.
Right. Exactly. Now, and also for our hypothetical situation, the Federal Trade Commission decided that it wasn't a monopoly to own the two largest.
That is true. Yes.
Well, they don't seem to care about that stuff right now, so they're good.
Yeah. So, how would you do it, Andy?
Yeah, how would you?
AT&T shows up and goes, "This is the number," and you went, "Okay." And you put
So wait,
Mickey ears
I'm
on.
purchasing DC
Yeah,
Comics?
you're purchasing DC
Yeah.
Comics, and you're Marvel.
Oh, all right. I thought you just meant me in general. I don't know. Like a check? Credit card? I don't understand the question.
Can you split it across these
you
5
put-
credit cards?
Yeah. Can you put $10 million on these 5?
This one says Benny Potter.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
all
yeah.
say Benny Potter. Don't
know.
worry
I know.
about that. It's my
It's my
legal name.
nickname. How would I go about it? I don't understand the question.
How would you bring DC? So the decision is that you have to bring DC into Marvel.
Okay, so I'm Marvel. I have purchased DC Comics.
Right. And you're allowed to have up to a 10-year plan to incorporate all of DC into Marvel.
Well,
proper.
that's an easy one then. If I have a 10-year plan,
What's your 10-year plan?
so you would
Mr.
start it out
Feige?
in this normal. let me channel Feige here for a second. You would just start out normal DC Comics, normal Marvel Comics, and you would lead into like a crisis type event over, I would say, probably a 5-year period.
Wait a second. Is this where the DC versus Marvel is coming from?
That's what the Thor book was trying to warn us about, and the Superman book.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you do like a crisis event, and then you spend the next 5 years, because I have a 10-year plan, so we might as well use it for 5 and 5, and slowly start sprinkling DC Comics into Marvel. I would probably reboot both universes after the crisis event to basically reboot and start over so they're both combined, and then just start weirdly mixing crap in.
Weirdly?
I don't even know how I would do it, but I would probably do it.
I'd throw them into infinity warps and warp them with a Marvel character.
And then split them
Yeah.
afterwards and then have them all together.
But like instead of splitting them normally, they would split so they're like a weird half and half. So it's all like a whole weird thing.
Like what?
and that's how they would permanently be?
Yeah.
Give us examples.
Interesting.
Like Bat Knight and Moon Man. Okay. I'm actually totally up for this now.
Moon Man?
Yeah, Moon Man.
Moon Man. That was the one that made me laugh. I got Bat Knight. Bat Knight works.
Bat
That's
Knight
fine.
works.
That's
I was just
fine.
Googling the title of our last video. It was DC versus Marvel. I'm like, we're just continuing that plot
Pretty
now.
much, yeah.
No, now it's Marvel versus DC.
But I would turn it into, like an infinity crisis, we'll call it. It's a crisis started
What
by
about
the Infinity Stones.
Clock.
Ooh, that also works.
We can take
Secret
10 years
Crisis.
to do it.
Secret Crisis would work. Yeah, and then he starts sprinkling them all in.
Heroes in, please don't name it this.
I mean, the easiest way they would do it is they would just have DC Comics still be its own thing and Marvel be its own thing, but then they could cross over, obviously. But
Okay.
I would see
that
DC,
would be like the easiest way to do it. You don't
Right.
mix the universes. You still have separate universes.
I think
Alright.
DC would just be Marvel's Black Label.
I could
I
see
mean, it's
that.
pretty much what
I
they
mean,
already
essentially,
are.
That's what it would be. It would just be its own
own
separate thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so obviously merging them could be fun, but not fun at the same time, depending on what we're doing.
It depends on how you want to do it. If you want to completely merge universes, you could have a lot of fun.
So
with
let me
that.
ask you this hypothetical question: could DC and Marvel realistically merge? Not corporate sense of like we just want Batman
Like
to
the
team up.
universes?
No.
Yeah,
Right.
I think they
Well, I'm
could.
saying because they're
Not
so
at all.
different. One's very realistic. One's very Gods Among Us kind of thing.
Well, I mean, it would be. You'd have to kind of choose how you want to do it at that point. But I think you realistically could do
See,
it.
I feel like you really couldn't, because if you merge it into the other style, there's already a character.
See, that would
that's
be the
exact
argument.
same
You'd have to
thing.
get rid of certain characters.
Exactly, because you can't really go, hey, here's Superman. It's like, oh,
But don't we have Sentry?
Sentry.
Don't we
Okay,
have
we'll make-
Hyperion is also
Exactly.
Which they
running
which they don't really use because they're too powerful. So how
Right,
would they use
exactly.
Superman?
Exactly.
I mean, anything can be doable if you put enough time and effort into it. If you were just like,
Right.
Superman's also there. Yeah, okay, that's probably
He just
not-
flies overhead.
Yeah, just
occasionally.
every now and then you see him swaying by. But yeah, I mean, you could realistically do it.
Superman shows up to Marvel, spins around the Earth, turns back time.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
the inception of Marvel, and then he like finds Sentry, throws him out.
Man, that was very aggressive. Is that your microphone? Okay. All right.
All right, okay. Here's a merge then, because we always look at this as what if Marvel were to purchase DC. What do you think would happen if Valiant acquired DC, and like it became a new Marvel versus Valiant as the two head honchos? Like,
That'd
how
be
would
an
you merge
interesting-
DC
That-
into
I-
Valiant?
So
That would
so you're presenting the idea.
I would say the tones are so much drastically different between those two universes. That would actually, to me, be more difficult than the Marvelverse. And
Well,
DC.
but you're throwing the idea out that so DC went up for however much money,
Valiant
and
was like,
someone
I got a
else
check for
swooped in.
$10.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I agree with him. I think that'd be very weird to merge those two
Those
together.
universes together would be very strange
and
to me.
I feel like it could potentially work, though, in the sense of when I look at the Valiant universe, I look at it in the sense of it's a great comic universe that they have purposefully tried to make it different from
Yes.
Marvel and DC.
Yes.
So
That
if
is
you
one of the reasons I like
remove-
it, yeah.
Exactly. And they are, when it comes to the two, probably more towards DC in the sense that it's a little bit more adult, a little bit more violent, a little realistic.
I can
and
see DC fitting
sometimes-
better over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they would be able to adapt to do things because they no longer are being compared to two.
Yeah, true.
They would be able to kind of fill the shoes of the gods among us. Then we have like Batman fighting Exo Manowar, and like
He would just strap like a bomb to his back or something.
but like there would be, I feel like that could be a cool merge that would build on the comic universe and culture. Whereas if Marvel bought DC, I feel like everything would start to get very boring and dull. Because we
agree.
would lose the drastic difference.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just look
That's
at
why
our,
it's so easy to be a DC and a Marvel fan right now,
Yeah.
because they're so starkly different from each other.
Exactly.
Some people only like one, some people like only the other, but it's easy to be like, oh, I like Spider-Man, I like Daredevil, I don't like
Yeah.
Daredevil, I like Spider-Man, I like Deadpool.
I don't like Daredevil. Even if I'm just making
Even in the hypothetical,
yeah,
I don't
in the
like Daredevil.
hypothetical, I don't like Daredevil. I just want to make that sure.
I don't like this hypothetical anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're gonna play that game, let's say that the trade commission came in and said
Even better.
Marvel can't buy them for whatever. We'll come back to the Marvel idea in a minute.
Right.
But Marvel can't buy them. So every other comic book company's out there.
They all join their allowances together.
And
Get
here's my
Marvel
piggy
on the
bank.
weekends.
So
I get
what do you
them
think
every
would
other day.
happen if like Zenoscope got it? So we had like the Grim Fairy Tale
So
cheesecake.
then
Factory.
you would just have Wonder Woman, like all busty versions of every character for some reason on every cover.
All right, let's
just cheesecaking it up.
Just keep,
let's quickly
just
give
exactly.
DC over. to the
Every
Zenoscope then.
every Batman issue shows a nearly naked Batgirl on the cover,
or Catwoman.
or Catwoman.
Yeah.
Superman is also nearly naked every cover for some reason.
Well done.
Well, I mean, they cheesecake both ways
that
lately.
is true. They do actually. So yeah. That
Okay.
would be probably the funniest thing.
be very funny.
The Zenoscope bought them. For the record, I like some Zenoscope stories, but it's hilarious. The best example is if you read their Jungle Book story, which is great. In the book, it's just like it's basically a girl that grew up in the woods and has like no meat in her bones. She's flat chested and everything. And then you look at the cover and it's like cheesecake it up. It's hilarious.
Like she's been having some cheesecake.
I'm pretty sure those are the ones that Benny used to buy just for the covers.
I have a few of the Z covers. They're called. That's the full nude ones.
Oh, I know.
The first,
I know you
okay,
buy
so
He's like, I got them all over the wall.
this is a podcast. We can tangent it. So the first couple of conventions I went to, back before Comicstorian is a thing, really, we were just kind of going to comic book conventions. I would see those Z's, and this is back when I would collect comics for the sake of collecting them. And you'd have those Z covers with the nudes, and they would be like $100, and I'd get like one of them at a couple of the conventions, and I was like, they're going to go up in value, and I quickly learned, no, they're not.
No, they're not. Why would you think that?
I don't know. It's just
Ben's like, comics are popular. Boobs are popular.
He's also the one that goes to the con that's like, ooh, anime girl pillow. That's going to go up in value.
so
especially used.
I have a story about that.
If you
one.
know what I mean.
We went to Anime Expo LA one year.
I know the story.
And it was me. I won't name names, but he's one of our writers. It's not Andy.
That really narrows it down, I feel.
But it was me.
I won't name names, but here's his home address.
I won't name names, but I'll name all the names that it's not.
So it was me, Sean. I think Kevin. I think Caitlin was there. Natalie was there.
I believe all of these people.
that would have gone to Anime
Yes,
Expo.
I do actually.
And so I'm roaming around looking.
Damn
I
weebs.
think I was looking for like a Dragon Ball Z statue or something. But I was
Sure
looking
you
for.
were.
No. And I can't. And I lose track of everyone at Anime Expo. And I'm like, where did everyone go? And I find all of them in the back corner.
In the dark alleyway.
And what are they? It's like a Dom Maki,
It looks like that.
Day
It's
Maki
weird.
pillow. What are they officially
I have
called?
no idea.
There's a name for them, but it's the pillows that have like the half naked guy or the half naked girl or the full naked guy and girl on them. Okay,
I'm gonna need a longer pillow.
and it's the body pillow stuff, right? So
Sorry.
I go over there to find like the 4 of them or 5 of them, however many there were, looking at them, but like connoisseurs. Like, well, I don't know about this one. I don't know if this is a good one.
This one doesn't smell right.
That's not enough thread count.
No.
This is clearly counterfeit. I can't get this.
So they're going through each and every one of them, trying to figure out which body pillow Sean's gonna buy. But it's like a group activity.
Do you have anywhere I could test this one out? I don't want to get home and realize I bought the wrong one.
This used to be the team bonding exercise. All right, guys, let's go pick out a body pillow for one of the people on the team.
And I remember Kevin was legitimately considering buying the Monster Musume Snake Girl body pillow. Which, what is the
It was a
length?
really long one.
It is.
They're called
yeah.
lamias?
You're
Lamias.
Lamias.
Labias is something totally different that can't
No,
be said
I
on our
said
show.
an M.
Yeah, no,
You just heard incorrectly.
you just
Might
heard
want to
it.
censor that one there, Dylan. So,
I definitely said
so the
lamia.
body pillow is a full length. Here's it on eBay.
Jesus.
And I just remember, and they had it wrapped around the booth. Look at this thing. Yeah, it's about 10 feet long. As far as I know, no one bought it. If they did, they definitely hid it from me.
Which made the flight home weird. Why is all the overhead space taken up?
What I really like about this one, though, that's hilarious, is all the photos are people being choked out by this pillow.
Well, I mean, if you're going to buy it.
If you're going to buy a giant snake woman pillow.
I mean, you might as well.
You got to make it realistic.
Obviously.
Otherwise, you're like, what's the point?
You're just a weirdo.
See, that's the longer pillow that you needed, though.
Yeah, there you go. That's
So
what I
anyway,
mean.
what if Boom Studios were to buy DC Comics?
I mean, that would be easy. They would just turn it into DC. I mean, it would stay DC Comics. Boom doesn't have enough things to mix it with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Boom, IDW, anything like Image Comics, it would probably just stay DC Comics.
What about
under-
Dynamite? Because Dynamite loves merging everything.
Well, I mean, even Boom does like Power Rangers mixed with blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, but they already work at that. But Dynamite, Red Sonja and Vampirella fighting against the Justice League.
I mean, they would,
I
they
would
would
love
just
a
show
Red
up.
Sonja versus Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I would read that. I would.
So they would just pop into it. There's not enough mainstream characters in any of those other companies that would really affect DC Comics in any way, major way.
okay,
Right.
I'm
You
gonna.
could add a few characters from Boom or whoever, but it would still mainly be DC Comics.
I have a fun one for you, Andy. Robert Kirkman buys DC
Okay.
and puts it in the Invincible universe.
Well, that would actually work really well because a lot of the Invincible universe is just parodies of DC and Marvel. So it wouldn't actually be that different.
Just suddenly he's there.
It just suddenly is like, wait a minute, aren't we pretty much the exact same thing? I mean, Invincible is just essentially Superboy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all he is.
that's why he's such a fan favorite.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of the reasons I love the character. It's probably the best Superboy story ever written. So, I mean, yeah, that would be it. And the same thing though. If Robert Kirkman bought them, I assume it would most likely just be DC Comics.
Right.
If Image Comics bought them, it would most likely just stay DC Comics under the Image Comics print.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the only places I could see where it actually would affect everything and start mixing would most likely be Marvel and maybe to an extent Valiant.
And that's only if both of those companies were to buy them and want to merge them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would probably just be easier. Let's say Marvel did buy them. It would just be easier for them to be like, this is the Marvel universe, and this is Marvel's version of the DC universe.
Right, under all Marvel writers.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
then Mickey Mouse,
yeah.
and then basically we would have the occasional event.
The
where
event, yeah, exactly. 'Cause,
every
I mean, they
5
would-
years a crisis in DC happens.
They
and-
would probably be like the Ultimate War, which was from the Ultimate Universe, where they mixed with like the Supreme Power Universe, which was
Yeah.
essentially Marvel's versions of all those characters. That's probably what it would end up being.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they would all separate again.
I personally think it'd be a little
My
too
answer's
difficult.
a little boring.
Well, no, because so merging DC and Marvel, I don't think would be actually very viable because
There's too many similar characters.
too many similar characters.
You'd have to start getting rid of shit.
And there's things in DC that just wouldn't line up with Marvel and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like Marvel loves to have New York and everybody in New York, while DC like never uses New York. We have Gotham, we have Metropolis.
Originally, Metropolis and Gotham were supposed to be basically New York.
Right, but what I'm
But then
saying
they
is
turned
we
into
had
Metropolis.
New York.
Yeah, but then they had Metropolis and Gotham.
But like, how would you have Batman? Batman wouldn't function. You know what I mean? Like, is he going to still talk to Captain America? And I know we had the thing with back in the past where they all talked, but they were still in their respective universes. But let's
Yes.
say Batman is now in that universe. It's just
Yes.
going to be like Steve Rogers. Oh, that's Bruce Wayne, the Playboy millionaire, and oh, there's the guy in the bat suit again.
Yeah.
They would start describing Batman, and people would be like, "You mean Daredevil?" Like, is that who you're talking about?
realistically. So if Marvel purchased DC and wanted to actually pull their major characters, let's say Superman, Batman,
The Trinity,
Green
We'll say
Lantern,
Justice
Wonder
League.
Woman. Yeah, exactly. We'll say the Justice League. They pull them in. One, you can have an awesome crossover between Namor and Aquaman, decide who actually runs Atlantis.
They're actually both in the water, and they're like calling to the fish.
Yeah,
come here, come
Whichever
here.
one it loves more will come to me.
Exactly.
I gotta say, or they're like, all right, we're gonna separate Atlantis in half. Okay?
I mean, that's probably what it ended up being, like Greater and Lesser Atlantis or whatever. You know, South Side versus. It's like the Blood and the Crips.
It's West Side Story, but in Atlantis.
But in Atlantis, exactly.
that would be a cool way to put them in
But,
there. I
like,
can see that.
Something like Batman. Let's say we're completely rebooting Batman for Marvel Comics. It would most likely end up being something like Punisher.
Yeah.
Whereas they all are aware of what he does and don't agree with him, but they don't necessarily go stop him either.
And he doesn't show up that often either in the mainline stuff because he doesn't work.
Batman does his own thing. And there would be something like, oh, we don't go into Gotham. You know, like Spider-Man's like, oh, no, I ain't going to Gotham. They got a crazy guy who runs around in a clown mask. No, not happening. That's what it'd probably end up being,
Yeah.
something along those
I fought
lines.
that kind of thing before. You met Cletus Cassidy? I'm not doing that with a clown.
Yeah, I'm not doing it with a clown. It's creepy. There's one guy who looks like a penguin.
I feel like Superman,
even the point?
if he was brought into Marvel, would actually reflect Zack Snyder's depiction.
Most
of him,
likely, yeah.
where people are afraid of him because he's an alien that's
Yeah, yeah.
unstoppable. And, you know,
And then he could do something like the Hyperion in the new all Marvel, where it was basically Superman
Right.
traveling the country and quietly helping
And
people.
actually be scared of the alien. That's literally not the last, but the one before of Captain Marvel.
yeah,
That was the story. Is
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
learned she was an
Exactly,
alien, and
yeah.
they're like, "We're scared because she's an alien." That's the shortest synopsis of that.
Wonder Woman, I think, would very, very easy to pull in because you could just have Themyscira be just.
it's his own play. I mean,
There it is!
essentially, she would most likely be almost the exact same character.
Yeah.
It would
An
be
Amazon who's hidden
Yeah.
and comes to man's
Because there's
world
no
to
one
help
like
It's the
that in
Wakanda
DC.
of the ocean.
I mean, in Marvel.
basically, yeah, actually.
There's no one in there in Marvel. If anything, she'd probably have a lot of crossovers with Black Panther. It'd probably be
Because
like,
they have a similar kind of.
oh, it's off
They'd
the
be
coast
like,
of
How do you
Wakanda.
hide
Yeah, yeah.
yours? I hide mine with this mechanical
magic.
Yeah. Magic. We use technology.
Interesting.
She would probably merge well with Doctor Strange,
Probably, yeah.
and she'd be
He would
very
be part of
confused by the
Justice League
drunken
Dark.
Hercules.
Yeah, I know. What the hell?
I don't remember this version of Hercules.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Fla-
Wonder Woman would be the easiest one to mix
Yeah.
in.
I think Flash would too, just because they don't really have a true speedster per se.
No.
He would show up and Quicksilver would be like,
Man, that was my thing.
we
Only thing
never
I can
see
do.
him again. Actually, no, he would
Green
show up
Arrow.
and be like, I don't like you, Flash, so I'm now the reverse Flash.
Green Arrow.
Reverse Quicksilver.
Green Arrow meets Hawkeye. And then they all both go out for like a beer and discuss how no one takes them seriously.
They would just do nothing but archery contests.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That
Green-
would be the crossover.
I would actually
would be
read
the
that.
I think Green Lantern would 100% work, just because he would pretty much fall into the Cosmic Avengers. He'd probably fall in with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
He would join
And then
the
Nova
Guardians,
would
yeah.
show up and go, dude, what the hell?
No. Your police corps is not the same as mine. We have rings. You have helmets.
It's basically the difference between like city police and sheriffs.
So which one is considered local?
Technically, sheriffs would be.
No, I'm
well,
saying
no,
out of the Green
Karen,
Lantern and Nova, who would be the
Oh,
local?
that's a tough one. Yeah.
Because they both got to look at the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
I would
this is
say-
for smarter men. Than
I
me
would
to
say
figure out.
Green Lanterns because Green Lanterns are given specific sectors.
That is true.
Whereas Nova Force is essentially just, hey, just stop bad things. But
Yeah, that's
we're
a good
over
point,
here.
actually.
You know what I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
see it being? The easiest way they would do this? Someone go, like Guardians go to the Nova Corps, right? And Quill's just like,
Helmets are stupid. Put on this ring.
no, I can see him be like, yo, we need help over here in this area. I think it was designated sector or something or other. And they'd be like, oh, whoa.
We're not allowed to go. We don't have any jurisdiction.
Yeah, we don't have
do
jurisdiction
sectors.
over there.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you gone to the Green Lanterns? And he's be like, the who?
Why is nobody talking about these guys? I honestly don't
Do
know.
they walk around with lanterns? No, they're rings.
Rings,
Really
actually.
makes no sense.
Yeah, but they have a lantern on their chest.
Well, sometimes it's on like their eye for some reason.
But why? I mean,
That would be
Where did they
hilarious.
get? But they're like, where did they get their power? Well, they say a phrase as they hold their ring to this object. And
What do
it
you just have
charges.
Richard Ryder trying to explain the Green Lanterns to Peter Quill?
I mean, to their lanterns. So they do have lanterns. Well, yeah, but they don't carry them or anything.
It's in like his pocket dimension.
Yeah.
What? Is that like the Cancerverse? No.
I want to see Marvel
It's
characters
like,
trying to
wait,
explain DC
hold on.
characters.
So they
And
all
vice
have one?
versa, actually.
Yeah,
That's actually pretty funny.
Could you imagine, like, okay, so Bruce Wayne, the Playboy billionaire, yeah, he's rich, right? Runs around at night as a bat, right? Childhood trauma, exactly. There's not really no questions. I mean, just look at Moon Knight, same kind of deal.
Punisher's like, that's kind of my thing. Yeah, but he doesn't use guns. Well, that's dumb.
What is he
Daredevil's just like, is he blind? Why does he call himself Batman? Does he screech as he
Does
goes
he have,
through
like,
the
is he a
town?
Mutant?
echolocation? What's his greatest villain? A clown. A clown?
No,
yeah,
no,
just
seriously,
a
no,
clown.
What's his greatest villain?
Let's
Stop
be
joking.
honest.
What's his greatest
If they brought them over, one of the best conversations would be them going, "Hey, so there's this Batman in this city, right? We don't know where he came from. You mean it's a bat that's a man? No, that's Man Bat. Wait, hold on.
I can see
There's
where
a
you're
Batman
getting,
and a Man
I
Bat.
can see where you're getting confused.
Let's start over. Okay. Batman, man in bat suit, man bat, bat in man suit. Now we're bringing in Hill House.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
So many stories like that would be like that one Plastic Man spinoff where he thought that Batman had fought him and that he was a villain, and then it turned out to be Man Bat the whole time.
That makes sense. That would
Yeah.
be. I mean, I can see how that gets confusing.
Okay, how would they bring in Cyborg? Never mind, no one would bring him Cyborg.
Nobody would bring him. That
Iron
be a
Man
character
would
that goes
go,
away.
I'm going to fuse this
Actually,
person
that's
with
exactly
this
what would
robot.
happen.
Well, I got a feeling Cyborg would go on a weird journey with Ultron. Just a road trip of the two of them discovering
Actually,
humanity.
Hank Pym Ultron is essentially an evil cyborg.
That's
It's
what I
Grid.
mean.
Ultron is Grid. Essentially. Wait, that's the guy's name, right?
Dr. Fate and
Yeah,
Doctor
yeah.
Strange would just have long talks.
Yeah, essentially.
They're like,
So you have a house that no one can really get into. Well, I have a tower.
it's like, oh, you see things with your helmet. I see it with this necklace.
Ooh. Thanos and Darkseid are just like, sup?
That would be a cool battle. Just you
Yeah,
just have the two
yeah.
of them just go at it.
Yeah. I'd probably give it to
Darkseid.
Darkseid, yeah. I was gonna say unless Thanos had all of the Infinity Stones, I
Right.
suppose.
Well, that's always the argument with Thanos. Everyone's like, Thanos could beat everyone when he has the
yeah,
gauntlet.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
already-
like in a straight up fight, it would be Darkseid.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
He's got the Omega beams.
Omega beams.
beams.
So what else you got? Any other
I'm
questions?
trying to think
for
of
me?
who else-
Any other characters you want me to try to drop into Marvel?
I'm trying to think.
I'll do it.
I try because I mean none of the Rob. They would all just be part of the Batman mythos. Suddenly,
Yeah.
Suddenly, Red Hood would be getting a beer with Punisher. I mean,
Hey, what's up, man? Now that'd be an awesome crossover.
there's just two of them in a bar.
Why do you wear the helmet? In case somebody shoots me in the head. Oh, I should get
one of those.
But just so you know, I double down. It's a domino mask under here.
That just looks dumb. I agree.
The Super Sons would just end up with the Young Avengers, probably.
They
They
would
just
just
on champions.
The champions would
Yeah.
become probably one of the biggest teams.
It's a combination of champions, Young Justice, Teen Titans. Who else can we throw on there? So they'd be the young
Agents of Atlas would
the
probably
Agents of
join
Atlas
them too.
probably in there. They'd essentially just become the Teen Titans in the 90s.
They would be the
Which
team
had like
champions.
8,000 characters on it.
The X-Men wouldn't really merge into it with anybody.
No, everybody
At this-
just keep hating them.
No,
At this point, I would take the X-Men and just here's the X-Men universe. Like we just got them all separate.
No. And then Superman would show up and be like, "What's up?" And they're like, "Are you a mutant?" He's like, "No, but hey, it's cool, whatever."
And then they'd have a mutant that can generate kryptonite.
And I mean, there's
Well, they would have an Inhuman that would go, "Oh no, it's Superman! Kryptonite? Where did I get that?"
because in the DC universe, mutants are essentially metahumans.
Yeah.
So you would just make all the metahumans mutants.
Oh my goodness! People
You get
would
a whole
finally
bunch of new
stop
mutants.
hating the mutants.
No,
because they
no.
know that Superman would just kill them.
Punch them.
The fourth pinnacle of DC, Harley Quinn.
She would actually get to hook up with Deadpool.
That's exactly what I was gonna
or
say.
Gwenpool.
You know what'd be great? You know
They
what'd
would
be-
team up.
There's a
yeah.
crossover.
You know what'd be great? Harley Quinn shows up, but with Red Tool.
Yeah.
He meets Red Deadpool and just like,
And then on the other side of
Spider-Man meme.
and then on the other side of the world, we have Black Panther meeting Red Lion.
It's true. Bronze Tiger. Come on, man. Now you're just stealing my gimmick. See.
just picturing
Roz
Red
would
Lion.
hook up with Dr. Doom. They'd start taking over crap.
Oh yeah, that would.
And then go back to the Batman versus Man-Bat. You would then get the DC guys going, hold on, so Spider-Man is the No, that's Man-Spider. wait. Is there a... Oh, no. There's also a pig version, and it's Spider-Ham. I was like, what the hell's going on over there?
the League of Assassins meets the Hand, and they both just go.
They do the Spider-Man meme again. Although League of Assassins is better because they're all super powered.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all. Yeah. Or
I
the
can't,
Hand are just a bunch of ninjas in
think of-
red costumes.
can't think of anyone else because there's no one that would meet with the Guardians. There's no real cosmic. other than-
Shazam meets Captain Marvel. It's like, why'd you take my name?
What the hell?
That would be kind of funny. Yeah, I think that'd be all the major ones that would cross over. There's a bunch of minor characters, but I mean, I could just pull up. Suicide Squad meets with what was it?
I mean, Suicide
Thunderbolts.
Squad would still be Suicide Squad. Yeah, exactly.
It would
I
be
mean-
Thunderbolts.
But the
and
Thunderbolts were just a bunch of villains who decided they either wanted to try to be heroes or just pretending, whereas the Suicide Squad have a bunch of bombs in their neck. Slightly different.
My bad.
But I mean, the Suicide Squad would remain the same.
Yeah.
They'd probably be run by Nick Fury. Or Amanda Waller would be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
instead of, what is it, Atlas? Something. Whatever she's actually a member of.
I don't think she's a member of any-
Argus.
government.
Argus.
Yeah. Argus, yes,
Argus,
yeah, she's
yeah,
Argus.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
The United States government.
Pretty sure she just works for the U.S. of A.
Our Twitch chat's doing some really crazy. Venom meets Riddler and eats him.
See, that's what it would be. The first main event would essentially be Deceased or the Injustice universe where you're just killing characters. Just left and right. Like, you just start cleaning house. Right?
Both Marvel and DC.
Both Marvel and
You can-
DC. Characters that just kind of contradict each other, we're just going to take them out. And
yeah.
then nobody can be like, well, where's this character? We killed him issue 2. That's where he
Red
is.
Lion went down before even starting. It was just-
Before, yeah, exactly.
his head's just already ripped off in the background somewhere.
And we'll do like the amalgam universe, whichever ones survive, it's what gets to be in the main universe.
Oh, God.
Tom Taylor's writing the whole thing,
It's essentially Avengers No Surrender, but with both
both
universes.
universes, yeah. And then whoever survives gets to be in main canon.
Jim Zub writes it.
No, it was Tom Taylor.
Tom
He's
Taylor.
really good at killing off
He's
characters.
really good. And making you care. Huh?
Actually, that's fair.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tom
There are two
Taylor's
of my.
re-
There are
yeah,
two
yeah,
of my
yeah.
top. My head heard Tom King. That's why I was like, let's.
If I had to pick a writer who actually,
killing people, Tom Taylor. is a
it would be Tom
genius.
Taylor. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
All right. I think
I like it.
I would be okay with Tom Taylor killing me.
So
I
if
feel like
this-
he would do it in a good way.
right?
I guess the last question would be, if this were to go down and Marvel somehow did buy DC,
Yes,
and this is what they were doing,
right.
good or bad, would you want this or not?
Marvel by DC? No, I don't want that.
No, I would not prefer that way. I think it could be a fun event, but as like the mainstream
Yeah.
universe,
It would be a fun little single thing, but
Yeah.
it couldn't be a persistent thing.
I mean,
Actually, it turns out just in DC, the Dark Multiverse has been Marvel this whole time.
oh, interesting. Well,
Well,
there's
there-
always the theory it's on the other side of the source wall.
that's what they wanted to do. Grant
Yeah,
Morrison said that.
yeah.
He said he wanted to do them on the other side of the source wall, but
Yeah.
could never do that.
I think they should come up. Tom Taylor should write this. It's a 12-issue maxi series of combining the Marvel and DC universe. Give us like the history of that universe in a 12-issue maxi series.
oh,
I
jeez.
like it.
Like however you pick whatever
The
characters you want to be
1940s,
in there.
Superman
Kill
showed up
as
shortly
many
after
as you want.
Captain America showed up.
So okay, no, I got it. Poof. So 1940s, Superman lands. Right, they find the pod. Kent took Clark, so that's fine. That's main universe. But they find the pod and they develop the super soldier serum from Kryptonian DNA.
And Iron Man takes apart the ship to make his Iron
Sure,
Man
I don't
suit.
give a shit.
well, it'd be
Just
Howard
get-
Stark at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah, Howard Stark starts that. Right, now we jump ahead.
Okay.
So Captain America is normal. He was created from Kryptonian DNA. Maybe he can fly. I haven't decided yet.
He can jump over.
We're homebrewing the rules.
Classic Superman.
He's classic Superman. So he goes into the ice. Jump ahead. When did he originally come? It was the 60s when he originally popped back up.
I think they upscaled to the 90s now.
Yeah, we'd have to mess with the timeline a little bit.
Luckily we got Flash for that.
We can say mutants came about. That's true. We can say mutants came about from Kryptonite. We'll just go straight Smallville.
Ooh, I like it.
We're all mutated from Kryptonite.
Not the dark matter explosion.
No, I'd say I'd go straight Smallville with it. Where which essentially just makes, in my apparently universe, Superman is the hinge that.
So now mutants are now essentially Daxamites.
Essentially, yes. Batman. We'll mix Batman and Punisher somehow. I haven't decided how yet.
Just give
Batman just
guns.
uses the gun now.
Yeah, I was gonna say he just becomes that character.
The classic Batman before they get rid of the gun.
Pretty much.
And then he embeds it into the bat.
I have a lot of fun with this, actually.
Okay, maybe develop that, and when you come back from New Zealand, I want you to work on this the entire New Zealand trip.
How was your vacation? Not good.
I had to come up with a timeline.
I had to come up with a timeline
for DC and Marvel.
We could turn this into a script. I could do that.
Yeah, that would
somehow Lord of the Rings ended up in there,
and then Star Wars.
I need you to write
that. Was just a Lego movie.
Spaceship! And on that note, thank you for watching today's episode of The Comics Experiment, the show that we film every Thursday right here at the Comicstorian Podcast Network, twitch.tv/Comicstorian. You can also find it uploaded to our YouTube channel every Saturday, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, all the audio feeds, and you can get early access and unedited access on our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian. It's through Patreon and our Twitch subs that these shows are possible, and if you want them to continue, please consider supporting us that way, or checking out our sponsor,
AMC Shudder, which if you use our code EXPERIMENT, you can get your first 30 days for free. Pretty cool.
Yes. And we may be gone next week. I'm not sure. As of right now, there's no Andy and no sponsor, so Dan and I might take a day off.
Ooh.
The week that you're not here is the week that
What the hell?
Andy's like, I'm taking a full 2 weeks off, and you guys get 1 day? What the hell?
I'm going to a beautiful foreign country.
Sons of bitches.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for your support. We'll see you next episode of The Comics Experiment.